So Nier Episode 8 was one incredible episode that leaves us off on one nasty cliffhanger, and unfortunately, Episode 9 onwards has been delayed. So new release date will appear at some point, granted we are entering a brand new anime season, so they wouldn't have the TV slots to continue airing the show anyway past episode 10 more than likely had they not hit the production bump in the road. Now, one thing I want to mention, because if we rewind prior to episode 1 dropping, because as it stands, the episode count is still unconfirmed. The rumor was that Nier was supposed to be a 24 episode anime. Now, these are rumors. I'm not saying for sure this is what was planned, but those were the rumors that were out there. So with 8 episodes out of the potential 24 dropped, I'm very curious if one of the big reasons we now took a break here is that they finished, because we got the delay around episode 4, right? So maybe they just finished up those 4 episodes and they said, hey, you know what, let's just come back in a different season and we'll restart the broadcast. One thing I'm interested in, because if this is just going to be a one-core season, we'll probably see the last 4 episodes or maybe 5 episodes within a season's time is my guess. But should they go the direction of this being a 24-episode anime, I wouldn't be opposed if they had 3 broadcasts of the Nier anime. Given we know they can't air more than 4 episodes before potentially taking a break. Imagine if we got 8 episodes now, maybe 8 episodes in a season's time, another 8 episodes a season's time later. I could see something like that potentially working, right? But it sucks. I mean, this was a pretty nasty cliffhanger. We end with Nines getting jumped. Was that a 2? Was that a different character? It was a pretty spooky scene, all things considered. Chain of Commands basically right on his doorstep saying, I mean, pretty much probably wants to eliminate him for spying. There's the uncertainty of the jump scare moment, and then you have the whole Adam and Eve plotline where one half tries to contact the other and is like, I have no reading, and then it just dramatically ends. So there's a lot of cliffhanger moments to this episode, and honestly, for me anyway, I'm the type of person who, if you give me a bigger and bigger cliffhanger, I'm more interested in coming back to your show, so for me it keeps me more interested. But it was a nasty cliffhanger, and I suspect there's going to be some salty people, which I completely understand. Now, I do have a full live reaction to episode 8 available on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts to today's wonderful episode, head on over there and consider supporting. This one kind of felt like a side quest episode. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who feels this way. Granted, I've never played the game, but there's a lot of aspects that sometimes when watching this show where I feel like this had to be pulled in such a game way. Like, there's at least 2 moments in this episode that felt like we were turning in a side quest. We were delivering a flower to the woman so that she could see our girl 2B wear it in her hair. Granted, she wore it around her chest, but honestly, that sells more merchandise anyway, depending on how you look at it. And then we also had the whole, turning in some information with the same character, right? And it just kind of felt like this was an episode that was a very slow burn, establishing episode, really kind of setting in the mystery of A2. Okay, she goes around killing all these machine life forms, but doesn't go to the village, which is full of machine life forms. You would suspect it's a pretty easy village to find, all things considered, and for an android that seemingly is so bent on being an android, killing our enemies, I'm interested why she's avoided that village. Not to mention, if that was A2 at the very end, what is the reason for jumping someone like Nines? Is it just because you guys are traitors, or is there going to be more to it than that? I don't know. But most of this episode was really about establishing, in my opinion anyway, once again, what is the concept of life? Now, I know the blindfolds that they wear around their faces, right? It always covers their eyes. I know they can see through that. I know that's essentially just like goggles in terms of their combat wear. However, they always have their eyes covered. And if you look at them, do they really feel alive? No, because the eyes are considered the window to the soul. So when you look into someone's eyes, you can tell there's life behind that. Always covering their eyes, to me, pretty much covers up the fact that, yeah, they shouldn't be perceived as living creatures because they're androids, right? But when you see Nines and 2B take off their blindfolds, and really, it just feels like for the first time you're really looking at them as living people. And the fact that throughout this show, I would probably say Nines has been perceived and kind of has been portraying himself as the one who very much follows the chain of command and believes that, no, we are androids, these are machine life forms, those are humans, and the circle of life is a very specific thing. But more and more, it feels like he's the biggest rule breaker of them all, and feels more living than all of them. And the fact that he went out of his way to spy on the chain of command says they can't track it and they don't know just yet, but given the fact that their boss was talking to seemingly her boss, and they kind of gave me the impression it's like, hey, go eliminate them, whoever it was make sure you blast the whole damn planet need be. I'm interested to see where they're trying to take Nines' character, especially given that if he gets eliminated here, I mean, there's the whole potential, because I know they have backups and everything, but I mean, the last backup was a bit ago, so I don't know, right? But I like it. I like the concept of just watching a world, this post-apocalyptic environment. Basically, it's so fascinating because a lot of times when you sit back, there's not anything too explosive happening. It might be a character just wandering to a new location, talking about the existence of life, but to me it's like the most exhilarating content because these types of worlds just suck me in. I can rewind a few years back to an anime called Girls Last Tour, which is basically just like a slice of life of these two girls exploring a post-apocalyptic world. I honestly, when looking at a lot of the environmental design of this anime, gets the same vibe from that show. Two very different series, mind you, but I love the fact that shows that just have so much history, so much story at just a destructive building. Why did the building get like that? Why is the building still there? I mean, that was one of the things with the post-credit is we asked what does 2B do in her free time, but also why are there still buildings if, you know, the whole post-apocalyptic thing occurred, right? I love the fact that just looking at this world brings up questions. And the fact that, as I keep saying, this feels like an anime first and foremost. Of course, it's adapting a game, and I keep hearing from game players, it's an amazing adaptation for the liberties they're going through. But the big thing about any project that could be adapting a book, a novel, a movie, doesn't matter, is does it stand on its own two legs for the newcomer experience, and that's exactly what this show does. I think we've seen a lot of movies, television, books, and the likes that have explored the concept of machine, something creative, feeling more and more alive, and, you know, should it exist on equal terms to humans. And for a show that's all about, like, these androids and just this big war that happened, some invaders come to a planet, they make something to kill and invade, and now we're at a point where it's like, half of those machine life forms are living in a village, and even if it's mimicking a human civilization, it feels harmless, and should we let it exist? These androids, these combats of war are, honestly, there's just, should we free them? Are they going to betray it? And the fact that the people we're supposedly not supposed to trust, it feels like there's a lot more to it. I think a lot of what A2 probably said is true in terms of you can't trust the chain of command, but when we reflect on every time we've seen that woman who seemingly is in charge of, like, our androids group, she's always talking to someone, she's always trying to say we can't dispose of them, and they always seemingly are like, hey, they're disposable, we can get more. So I'm interested to see where the true blame lies and what the true endgame of a show like this can be. It's a nasty cliffhanger, it's a very effective cliffhanger, but it is nasty nonetheless. But honestly, I mean, I'm just glad I've experienced what I have with this show. I keep saying it, if I have a Nier episode, I'm happy. Right now, I'm not too happy because I don't have it, but with a new anime season starting, I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to continue it into the next season anyway on the channel, so hopefully it'll come back strong. After the first delay, the show visually didn't dip, so all we can do is cross our fingers and hope the same thing will happen when we do get episode 9 eventually in the future. But let me know what you thought of episode 8 and your thoughts on the delay for episode 9 onwards down below in that comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, also ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and of course, as I mentioned, we do have that full live reaction available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout. So today we have Jornis Pierre, Jen, Rajvir Malhans, and Kyle Kowalchuk. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.